Hey y'all, it's another episode of I Know I'm Crazy with Naja. I just want to thank you so much for tuning in, constantly being supportive, loving, sending great comments, and please leave a review wherever you listen to this podcast or watch it, because we are on YouTube now. Please make sure you leave a review somewhere, because that really helps me gain sponsorship and keep this thing going. So when I decided to revamp the podcast, I knew I wanted to split it up into segments. I wanted to get it a little bit organized. Last week we talked about audience interaction, having you guys come on, doing more in-studio stuff. But I'm not worked out the segments yet, but there is something really interesting that happens, right? Since I've been in this realm, in this niche of helping people through blended family issues, wellness, mental health, not mental health, lack thereof, people send me DMs, people send me screenshots, and I get tagged in comments all the time. So I know you heard it here first. One of the first segments I'm going to introduce, and today, actually, that's what the entire episode is going to focus on, is comment creeping. Y'all, you would be surprised what people expose about themselves or one another in these doggone comments in social media. So we're going to go through today and read some of the comments that I've gotten. And I also want to give a bit of advice, just based off DMs. I have gotten permission from the people that I'm sharing their stories and their DMs from. So yeah, let's do that. Right after this dance break, we are going to get into this comment creeping. So stay tuned and listen up.
I know I'm crazy. I know I'm crazy. I know I'm crazy. Naja Hall.
You know, that theme song still gets me, and metal has always had a special place in my heart. And FYI, if you don't follow my personal pages, then I started taking drum lessons. Yes, your girl is taking drum lessons. I want to be in a heavy metal band. That's one of my goals for the year. All right, so I did get this DM. I'm going to change a bit of the details as to not give away identifying details, but here it goes. Hey, Naja. I just started dating this man with a 13-year-old child. The mother cheated on the father. He forgave her, and now they're just friends. She put him through a lot of mental stuff, so he no longer sees her in the way romantically. Is that really possible? Do you think he truly doesn't have feelings for her? How am I supposed to know? She lives in another city about an hour away, and they both agreed that they didn't want to take the child away from his friends, so the child stays with him during the school year and her the entire summer. She stayed in his house for the first and second day of school to see the child off to school. However, he asked me to stay the second night that she was there. I couldn't, because I wasn't okay with her staying the night at all, because I wonder if he still has unresolved feelings for her, even though he says he doesn't. Because to me, if you had respect for yourself, or even if you were with someone, you wouldn't allow your ex and the mother of your child to stay with you. She can get an Airbnb or a hotel. Could I be wrong? I don't have kids and I've never been married, so I don't know how to go about this. Yikes. On one hand, I could say these folks are still playing family. You know, he's still trying to appease this woman, or he's still trying to show his child that even though the parents are not romantically involved anymore, they can still get along and center the kid. We can still see you off to school. You have a great first day of school, mommy and daddy in the same house. It could be a family tradition. That's one thing I say. When you're coming up into a blended family, or you're the new guy, the new girl, the new person, instead of giving your input and advice, baby, keep your trap shut. Don't advise, don't give your opinion, don't give him or her the side eye. Just simply watch how they do things. I guarantee you'll learn a whole lot more about how this family works if you just look instead of running your trap. You know, I advise against telling your feelings and sharing your thoughts. Number one, because those two people are stuck together. They have a kid together. You're the one that can go. So if you don't like how they do things, instead of you coming in trying to change a ready-made family and a ready-made system, then you can say, hey, this doesn't work for me. I'm going to go. There ain't that much like or love or lust in the world for you to, okay, well, yes, there is. Girl, watch me lie. There's not that much in the world for you to put up with something that you deem as disrespectful. This is where you have to come up with your own boundaries. Do you see it as a problem? And I could say this. I think it's really healthy. Y'all, don't shoot me in the foot. I'm playing devil's advocate here. I rarely do that. But I think it's kind of healthy for a kid to see their parents come together just to center them. to get them off to school so they can have a great school year. Mom already does not live in the city. And can she get a hotel or Airbnb? She absolutely can. And I'm sure when she gets a new partner, a new man, a new woman, whatever she gets, then they might not be okay with that, but it works for now. The fact of the matter is that he knew that he was in a relationship, air quotes if you're not watching this, he knew he was in a relationship with you and still invited this woman, the mother of his child, to stay there. So that means you are important. And he also kind of want to demonstrate to maybe you, and especially to her or vice versa, that there's nothing going on, that there's a new person in his life and that his family is expanding. This is where you have to kind of decide, how much can you take? How much of this blended family stuff do you have the bandwidth for? What is your stopping point? And I just don't think it's a good idea if you come in trying to call the shots and telling these people to redo and undo things in long-standing or short-standing or whatever traditions that they've had since before you got there. Keep your mouth shut. Keep your mouth shut. If you don't like it, leave. You are not invested. You are not married. You don't have children with this person. You can hop, skip, skedaddle, and jump away, girlfriend. Whew. All right, so let's go to the next one. And I am actually reading these off the dome, guys. So I don't, I haven't seen these already. So I'm giving fresh advice, right? Oh, Lordy, this one's kind of long. Hey, Naja, please tell me if I'm wrong. My significant other's ex-wife does not want her child around any other woman. She's demanded that since their divorce, she stated that the child does not need another mother. She's always demanded that he follow her on all social media, saying it was about their child. And if he didn't, she would tell the child that daddy's doesn't care about him and daddy cares more about the new girl. Lord, this is a hot mess. Fast forward, he and I have decided that we want to be in a committed relationship with marriage in the future. She stated that she wanted them to go out, and he expressed to her that he was seeing someone and he's happy. Then she started posting pictures of herself at the gym or what she does every day with a very seductive face and shots of her body on her TikTok page. He and I are on each other's phones all day, all the time. So I asked him, why do you need to follow so closely? He asked me how I felt about it and explained everything to me. And I informed him that it makes me really uncomfortable. He decided to unfollow her on TikTok, and she got super upset. She called him and asked him why he did that. And, I just lost my place. She called and asked him why he did that. And he politely explained that he feels that it's inappropriate for him to do that since he's in a committed relationship. And he remembers that when they were married, she did not allow him to follow any woman or have female friends on social media. She got upset, and she said she's been planning outings with the child when he wants to spend time with the child. Most recently, the child told him that mom said that dad doesn't pay child support regularly, even though he does, and that daddy's new girlfriend is keeping him away, and that dad does not care about either one of them anymore. I feel like she's just bitter and that he's not with her and that he doesn't want to be her. She texted him stating that she unfollowed him on Instagram because she doesn't want him to access to have anything to do with her or the child. When he didn't engage with a response, she's been really pissy. I don't know if I should care about this, but I don't. Girl, you care because you wrote me about it, and it's completely okay. You care. This is your person. And if you didn't care, I would think, like, why are you writing about this? And why are you going to waste your time with this? So I would say to anybody, like this woman, and sometimes when a relationship is over, we can have a very difficult time grasping the concept that the person that we loved, we gave time, our life, we sacrificed for, maybe gave a kid to, had a child with, and saw a future with, we have a very difficult time understanding that this person and this future that we had planned in our heads is no longer possible. And when we find that a new person has been introduced, this new person kind of represents the reality that this life that I thought that I had that was going to be for me, it ain't happening anymore. So you are like a gut punch. You're like a knock in the nose to this person. The fact that she knows that he's with someone. I will say this, if you know, and this goes for moms and dads, if you know that your ex-spouse, your ex-partner, your child's other parent is going to have a difficult time feeling balanced. And when they find out that you have repartnered, please don't tell them your new partner's name. Let your new partner stay anonymous as long as they can. And they're going to ask the kid, they're going to do research, they're going to try to pull up on you. As long as you can give your new partner peace, and I'm saying this from personal experience, I beg, don't let them know that person's name. Just be evasive. Now, if you have a healthy co-parenting relationship, then this does not apply to you. You can let them meet at the soccer game or set up a formal Starbucks meetup or something like that. That's different. But we are talking about when you know that your ex, and you've been honest with your ex, and you did not harm this person, cause irreparable damage, or this person maybe was already had a disordered personality, or they were already mentally ill. We know that they don't handle breakups and rejection the same way that a air quote normal person would, whatever normie means, whatever you normies are doing these days, because all of us are kind of crazy. Normal people don't really listen to this podcast. So, like I said, keep the anonymity. When your co-parent starts doing that evasive thing, which they are, and the cat's out of the bag, this is where I would say you don't really want to waste a lot of time explaining to them. You can say, oh my God, but we broke up 8 months ago, 8 years ago. We knew we weren't together. You didn't let me follow women. Now that I'm in a new relationship, it sounds like this mother thinks or thought that she would be able to put her family back together and have a future with the father of her child. And she's going to be angry about that for a long time. And now that a new girl is in the picture, you're, again, like I just said before, you're going to be the one to be blamed. So, oh my God. What can you do? You can't do anything about what a person decides to tell their child. You can go to court and get her and get the judge to slap her in the grill with some sort of order about anti-alienation and no targeting the other parent negatively. But one thing that a toxic parent will do, covert, narcissistic, or even overt, is they're going to find a way to get into their child's psyche. Children always identify with the weaker parent. I need you guys to remember that. I always say that. So I want you to consider that. There's not really a lot that you guys can do to control what mom says to the child. But the thing about a crazy, like a real crazy, not like us crazy, but like a real crazy, is they are very predictable. They all have the same script. We know that they're going to say, oh, daddy doesn't love you. He loves the new person, or mommy abandoned us. Mommy's off with the new guy. Like, we know part of their script is to sow seeds of division and to be very divisive and sow contempt between the parent and the child. So this is where you need to tell your partner, or if you're the parent that's listening to this, that's been alienated and you're the targeted parent, which you probably are because you're listening to me, you need to make sure that you enforce to your child and give them references by which to know that you don't want to call the other parent a liar, but to let them know their parents lying their asses off. You want to let them know that you want to reinforce love. You want to reinforce that you're being very honest. And yeah, that's one thing I want you to consider. All right, so I have, this is so much fun just reading these. I want you guys in the notes, in the comments, or even send me a message. I want to know what you feel about me just reading these. Oh, and if you go to iknowimcrazypod.com, there's a form on the website. If you want to submit, if you can DM me or whatever, but it's easiest if you just go to iknowimcrazypod.com, submit the form on the website, and you can tell me your issue. I also really want to start having you, some of you, come on to the show and ask questions on camera. If you want to be on camera, you can. If you don't want to be on camera, you don't have to, but I would like that also. All right, so let's read up on this next one. And I kind of want to, let me just veer off from comment creeping real quick, because this episode is going to come out in real time, like in a couple of days. And recently, I'm going to give you context for those of you that don't know who these people are. There's a rapper named Rich Homie Quan. He did this song, Got Me Feeling Some Type of Way, and got me feeling like the man when I walk through. Okay, just Google it. I'm not, just really. So anyway, he's a rapper in Atlanta, and he recently passed away. The mother of his child, I think he was living with her at the time, she saw him laid out on the couch. She was taking the kids to school, saw him sleeping, didn't think anything of it, took the kids to school and came back. He was laying in the same spot, went to check him. That boy had died. He was out of here. He was gone. He was cold. And she talked about it and it was devastating. Obviously, it really impacted the hip hop community because he had a lot of good songs maybe 10 or so years ago. I think he had gotten off and talked very openly about his drug issues. But y'all, let me tell you what happened when this man's death was announced on social media. There's another rapper. She posted this video that she and he had recently taken of him. They were kissing and canoodling in the club and dancing all close. And she made this long caption talking about how he loved her. She shared screenshots that this man had written her. That was nasty. I thought that was not very demure. I thought that was completely classless and tacky. Why would you do that, girl? There then was another girl that came out, was doing the same thing. I could not imagine the amount of devastation that the woman that he lived with, and they were not married, so I can't say his wife. I don't know if they were engaged, but they did have more than one child together. So, you would consider them a family. I could not imagine what his key family, his main family, and I'm saying main family not because he respected this woman as a main. I mean, I'm sure she thought she was, or I don't know what the makeup of the relationship was, but could you imagine mourning the death of your spouse and you taking the kids to school and they're sleeping through that? But that's a whole nother topic. Mourning the death of your spouse and then finding out that all of these other women are popping up mourning just like you. Could you imagine that? That's why I say y'all have to keep life insurance policies, because you know what? If your heart's going to be broken in death and you have to grieve, at least you don't have to worry about bills. If he was going to do that, if he's going to cost you your mental health and your peace in life, at least let it benefit you in his death. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Some life insurance companies, y'all need to hit me up for sponsorship, because on this podcast, we're really going there a lot this season. Okay, so let's move on. I got this one right here. And I wanted to tell that Rich Homie Quan story because this does kind of segue into something that's been a hot topic here all over my social media. What makes a side chick? What makes the mistress, the other woman? And people have some very strong feelings about, and women get demonized for this. I don't know why the guy that puts women in these positions, why he's not kicked in the tail and he gets the donkey of the day. But the woman is the one that gets to wear the scarlet letter. She's deemed the mistress, the homewrecker. She's the one that has to suffer. So what actually, oh God, what was the country singer name? He had that song, "When the Heart Breaks, It Doesn't Break Even." And I was like, oh my God, that was like such an epic thing, because it doesn't. Like we talked about in the last comment creeping, you could end a relationship with a person. You can say, hey, I don't want to be with you. This relationship is not working. And I guess it's considered over. But if you're still doing relational things with this person, you're still sleeping with them, you're still cohabitating, you can give them hope. So it is kind of your responsibility to give it a clean break before you start entertaining other people. With that being said, one thing I noticed that a lot of y'all aren't doing that. A lot of y'all are not giving your previous relationship time to close, for the other person to come into realization that the relationship is dead and done and over before you move on. There's like a gray area. And so you bring this other person into the scenario, and now there's this gray area. And the other person starts to get some of the visceral as being the blame for the relationship breaking up. But one thing I realized is that, and I've probably been guilty of this too. Like, I remember when I was a single girl, it's hard taking rejection. It's hard understanding when somebody that you've given all these things to, when they tell you, hey, I don't want to be with you. I've been dumped before. Believe it or not, I know it's hard to believe, but when this person that you've given it all to says that they don't want to be with you anymore. And I think that's respectful that they say it, because a lot of people will just go off and lie and cheat and not let you know, and you find out and you have egg on your face. But if they do have the respect enough for themselves and for you to tell you, you can accept it, but then what is their responsibility? If I say, hey, I don't want to date you anymore, but then we still sleep together, we're still doing couple things, I'm still letting you take me out to dinner, but then I told you Monday I didn't want to date you anymore. Is it okay for me on Tuesday, or no, let's just say next Monday, because I want to give it some time. Is it okay for me, even though you and I are still canoodling and sleeping together and doing all the things, to go off and start dating other people and you be okay with that? That's weird. And then if I start dating another person, does he get called my side dude or my side piece? Well, I don't know what a male mistress is. What is that, a male mistress? Is it a mister? he gets called my mister. Is that what that means? And then he gets labeled as this person that's a homewrecker when to be quite frank and factual, the home was wrecked by me and the other person in the relationship. You know, is that how, I feel like that's how it should go, but feelings ain't facts. One thing I realized also is in divorce court. You know, I've seen the judge. I've gone to divorce court a bunch now at this point with my clients. And I've seen a few judges. There's this one in particular here that when the divorce is like done, he'll bang the gavel and say, bang, you are now, and I now grant you, what does he say? Now I now pronounce you divorced. And it's like, dude, that's it. It's over. You are no longer a married couple. A lot of times, though, these people already have moved on to relationships because divorces, even the good, clean ones, can still get kind of messy and they take time. In a lot of states, you file for divorce, you have to have like a 60-day cooling off period. So then you have to wait for the paperwork to be mailed in. Are you supposed to just sit there and twiddle your thumbs and diddle yourself until that happens? Especially when you know your relationship is done and it's irreparable. Are you really supposed to do that? Or can you start dating? And when you do start dating, especially once you've filed for divorce and you started to separate assets and you started to separate your life from a person, it's a big gray area, because if you move on, is that considered an affair or a mistress or a mister or a side person? Or are you a human being whose marriage has already spiritually ended? That marriage was spiritually dead years ago. I know y'all can hear the ambulance. We're in New York City. New York City is going to be the B-roll character on this podcast. You all know that. But is a side person, are they considered, is that considered adultery? I don't know. And then at what point do we fairly get that label? We had a big debate about that on my TikTok and my Instagram this past week. So if you are over on there and you follow me on any of my pages, then go check that out. Oh, I also started an Instagram and a TikTok for I Know I'm Crazy podcast. Oh, and a YouTube. Oh my God. This video right now, I'm looking at myself talking to you guys. This is going on YouTube. Obviously, it's on iTunes and Spotify and wherever you get your podcasts. But I want to, I want to get back in the YouTube game. So I need you to please follow me everywhere. All of the links are available. Follow me every freaking where you can. So I wanted to talk about that side person comment, because this next comment creeping situation kind of lends to that. So I got tagged in this one, actually. Oh my God, I wish I could share it, but I don't feel like, next time I'll share it. I'll share it on the screen, but there's a lot of stuff in here. So it was a similar situation. It looks like the husband, the wife filed for divorce. Looks like the wife cheated. Yep, that's what it looks like. So the wife actually cheated on the husband. They had a couple kids together. She was gallivanting with her new little boy toy around town. Come to find out, the boy toy was playing her because he was still with his baby mama. And backing up into the scenario again, when the mother she got played by the dude, he ended up not being single. The husband, because they're still legally married, even though they're going through the process, she had already filed for the divorce. I don't know where they were in the process. I'm reading in these comments, it does not say. I do see somebody say that they had a court date. So there's that. But I would think that you're off to the races. Like, we are in full dissolving this thing mode. So she found out about his new person when her situation didn't work out. And I think it's just something that patriarchy has done. I think it's something with women is automatically, because this thing was not resolved before, the ex-wife, soon to be ex-wife, kind of got to jump back in the saddle and reclaim this dude that she threw away. One woman's trash is another woman's treasure, but she's like, oh, I want him again. My thing didn't work out. And this dude was long gone. Once you threw him out there in the streets, baby, the streets swooped him up so fast. That's why I always tell y'all, if you're looking for a man, you better go outside a divorce court. They're already housebroken. They're already trained. All you have to do is dust off their little hearts, and don't let their ex-wife be a hot mess. Don't let those girls be a hot mess. You have to literally do the minimum. And I'm not saying this from experience. I'm just saying. Okay, so I'm looking at the scenario. This family, this blended family, they are going to have some hell to pay, and they got some major hills to climb, because I guess if mom was going to walk away with her knight in shining armor, she was going to be able to throw the deuces at her ex-husband, leave him as a sovereign, sorry single daddy, and move on and find her kids a new super stepdad. And she has egg in her face now. So now she becomes the victim. He becomes the whoring, cheating, you know what, the person, his new person, maybe his angel, his princess in shining armor, this woman that came and rescued him off his sore feet. She becomes the harlot and the trash. And now the kids are thrown in the middle because dad has thrown the family away. It honestly, and it happens like this. Y'all know that it happens like this. I'm not willing to argue this one. Oh, let's go over to something that someone sent me. This looks like it has to be a Reddit situation. So the title is Stepdaughter Has Run Away Because Me and My Kids Moved In. Should I leave? I can already tell you the answer is hell yeah, but let's just read this together and see. For context, my stepdaughter 16 chose to stay with my partner, her father, full time when her mom moved far away enough so that she would not have to change schools. She sees her mother on some weekends and holidays. Stepdaughter said she would only stay if I did not move in. She hates me and my kids, by the way. And her dad and I agreed that we would not live together until she was away at college. Well, some circumstances out of my control meant that I was in danger of not having anywhere to live unless I moved out of the area. What happened, girl? My kids would have to move schools and I would be a few hours away with my parents. Faced with this, my boyfriend, not fiance, not husband, not any of that, told me that my kids and I could move in with him and his daughter. The stepdaughter threw a fit, despite my partner promising her that her life would not change. Eventually, she shut down from talking to him and said that it's his house, he can do whatever he wants. He planned to try very hard to make it up to her, but she was stonewalling him in the weeks leading up to the move while she was at her mother's. 2 days after the move, we woke up and she was gone. My partner had a text from her saying she would not live with me and my kids and that she was hurt that her dad had chosen me and my kids over her. She said that she would be staying with her friend for the school year. My partner is understandably in shock. He tried calling her, but she wouldn't answer. Eventually, he got a hold of her friend. Then the friend's dad got on the phone. The dad said that he would not be making our stepdaughter come back, and she was welcome to stay there as long as she wants. Yikes. The mom heard about the situation from the stepdaughter and called my partner to yell at him. She called him every name under the sun, accused him of replacing the stepdaughter with my child, and said he was a shitty father for going back on his word. Obviously, she's going to be no help to us in this situation. No one's going to be of any help. Everyone my partner talks to is calling him a terrible person for choosing me over her. It's been 3 weeks and stepdaughter has started school again. She's still at her friend's place. Every attempt for my partner to talk to her has been seen and met with her saying that she will not come home unless me and my kids are gone. This has been really hard on my partner and all of our relationships. My kids have been through a massive upheaval in the last couple of months, and now my partner is stomping around the house in a mood, feeling guilty for spending time with us while his daughter is off licking her wounds. I want to move out, but I can't afford to at the moment. I'm saving for it. I feel like such a burden. My kids feel like a burden. My partner spends all his time sulking and upset, and I can tell that he resents the situation. Any suggestion I've made to call the cops, to cancel her credit card, is met with him telling me he isn't going to further damage his relationship with her over me and to let him handle it. We're all walking on eggshells. The atmosphere is so bad, I'm considering moving back to my parents even though my kids have already started the school year. My partner has always been so kind and caring to me and them, but then it's gone down the drain since his daughter left. This is not the best environment for anybody. I don't know what to do. My partner has gone to meet stepdaughter today to try to talk to her, but I don't see it's going to help a lot. He says he's going to offer her the moon, and the only thing she says is she wants us gone. I know I shouldn't, but I feel really guilty. Guilty for doing this to my kids, my partner, and even the stepdaughter, a kid who is dealing with leaving home too early. Should I just go and count my losses? My God. So it's very hard for me to want to subscribe to the feelings and whims of a 16-year-old who is temperamental, emotional, and whose brain is not even done developing yet. This is why kids can't vote. This is why they can't join the military. This is why when they commit crimes, they don't get charged as adults and face adult consequences. We know that they're not able and capable of having the mental faculties that some of us adults are, which is why they don't get to make major decisions. As a teenager, she's in puberty right now. We know, and we've talked about this a lot on the previous seasons, is the brain goes into a state of latency, meaning the amygdala, the part that controls how we know what risk we should and should not take. Our empathy, emotion, it's being squashed because all these other hormones are firing. So it's really, really small. So a teenager might look at and smell grown, but they're really like a big, tall, hairy, smelly toddler. They don't have toddlers, I think, are just sociopaths. They're just as crazy. But teenagers, they can mimic empathy, but they are in this period of self-preservation. They're discovering the world. They're testing the limits and their boundaries. And that's exactly what this young person is doing. She's caught up between two parents, two different households who don't necessarily disagree. And her mother, just hearing her side of the story, is rightfully upset. It looks like dad has gone back on a promise and shaken this girl's world up. So I would say, honey, I was gonna say, who else do you have to live with? You ain't got nobody. Where's your baby daddy? He's not paying child support. So you and your kids didn't have to move in with your guy. Maybe that's the case for you, and that's fine. But you don't have any friends, anybody else that you could have moved in. And it sucks that you could not rely on your partner, on your man. But again, we get in these relationships with people, and then now we hit a storm, and then we're tested, and the strength of our relationship is tested, and we see it's as weak as water. So yeah, you do need to pack your kids up and hightail it back to mom and daddy's house and let that man patch things up with this pubescent young person that he is bending over backwards for. Now, she's going to leave the nest one day, and then maybe he'll be free to move about and do what he wants to do in his own home. But that's not how he's raised her. That is not how he has groomed this child, for him to be the adult and say, hey, this is my home. I respect you and I love you, but our space is changing. She's not in a place to where she's, I can't say she's not evolved enough, but she's not in a place where she is flexible enough, and nor has she ever had to be. That's a parenting issue. That's a personality issue. Is she being manipulative? Yeah. But she wants things her way. And that's typically what we do when we want something our way and someone's changing up the game and they promised us that things wouldn't be this way. I think what she thinks is she's going to stonewall him into bending to her will. And so what does that look like? What if you guys get kicked out, you move back over to your parents' house out of state, you uproot your kids, they go to another school. What if that happens and then dad is back in the house and it's just quiet and it's him and her? So she's happy she's gotten her way. She won. She gets to be the queen of the nest and rule the roost again until he meets somebody else. But guess what, girl? It's not going to be you. You leave them to their functional dysfunction. Let him raise his that teenager that's ruling the house. And you take you and your children somewhere where you will feel loved and comfort, because I can guarantee you this. This is going to be a part. If you stay in that house with this guy, this is going to be something that your kids are going to talk about as being a pivotal moment in their own childhood, when my mom uprooted us and her boyfriend was really mean to us. So now it kind of looks like you're choosing your relationship over your own kids. Both of you guys as parents seem to be doing that. Oh, so yeah, I would say let's make a clean break and let's do our diddly do and do it back to your parents' house. All right, I had some notes before we close out, and I said I was going to keep these brand new episodes up to a certain length. I know you guys sometimes like them long, you like them shorter, but I just kind of like it. Okay, so I created all of these notes, right? And I'm going to just read some of them to you, and I'm probably going to make some more episodes and talk about this in more detail, but guinea pigs, I want to talk about being the guinea pig. If you are the first of something, the first annual, I'm just kidding, there's no such thing as first annual, but if you're like that initial person, then you're going to have a hard time. I just don't want any of you guys to be the guinea pig. I don't want you to be the first person that, especially after like a nasty divorce, I don't want you to be the first person that someone seriously dates after their divorce. Because I don't know if you're the rebound. I don't know. Like, this family is not accustomed to having a new person in the picture, and you're going to be the guinea pig. So you're going to be the whipping boy. You're going to be the scratching post that everybody gets to, especially a broken family that's been devastated and rocked by divorce or separation. You're going to kind of be the one that gets all of the grunt of the unhealing, and they're going to heal on your benefit. Okay. They're going to heal just off of the wounds that you're going to have to lick. So I don't want you to do that. If you are, and I've heard this from a lot of black girls too, they'll go out on dates with white guys and they'll be super surprised because, you know, maybe he's always wanted to try a black girl and you can infer whatever that you want, but it always feels kind of odd because you're the person that's you're having to teach them cultural things. You don't know if they're with you because they're fetishizing. I can't fetishize. Y'all get it. You know what I'm trying to say. You don't know if they're with you because they actually want to genuinely know you as a human, or they just want to try something new because they are sick of what they've been dating, or they heard that the juice is kind of sweeter. You don't want to be that girl. You don't want to be the first person after, like, let's just say you're the new manager, right? The old manager at a job has died or passed away and everybody loved them. And then here you come taking their place. You're taking over the team that they built. Oh my God. The transition is hard. So being the transitional person or playing that transitional role is a tough thing. It ain't for the faint of heart. It's possible to succeed and make it through that, but that's just a nugget that I want to leave you with as you go off and enjoy your week and go and binge all of the other episodes. And as you follow me, I Know I'm Crazy pod every single place. That's just something I want you to walk away with about being weary and leery of being the transitional person. And if you are, I mean, I am hell, so that's why I'm telling y'all don't do it. But if you are, more power to you. You're probably gonna have to book a coaching session with me. Naja Hall Coaching Agency is open. If you are needing to sit down to have a one-to-one to help you handle your issue, you know how to find me. Just go and look on the website. You can look anywhere and find me online. I Know I'm Crazy pod. And thank you so much for listening to another episode of I Know I'm Crazy podcast with Naja Hall. Check us out on Tuesdays, everywhere your favorite podcasts are streamed. I'll see you soon.
I know I'm crazy. I know I'm crazy. I know I'm crazy. I know I'm crazy. Naja Hall.